Full disclosure on this episode, I have known our guest since she was in the 6th grade. It was not only her first year at the School for Creative and Performing Arts, it was her first audition for a big musical. And in this case, it was The Wiz. Carter simply blew the roof off the place. She nailed it. And she landed the role of Dorothy. And as the older and wiser 7th grader at the time, I, of course, kept a watchful eye from my vantage point on stage as the leader of the Mice Squad. Hey there, buddy. We're the Mice Squad. And we have remained fast friends ever since. Carter has had an amazing journey in show business, leading with her unmistakable, unique, and powerful voice, and a stage presence that is simply second to none. Carter was in Cincinnati recently being honored at the Future of the Arts Gala supporting the SCPA Fund as an outstanding alumna. And Ron, Rex, and I were honored to be able to attend this event thanks to another SCPA alum, Steve Hamelrath. Carter did not disappoint, doing a mini one-person show with full orchestra support as her acceptance speech and in the process reminded us of her amazing talent. All that said, Carter is simply one of the funniest people I know, and we were lucky enough to have her come to the TCP studios where we got to sit down, laugh, and share stories. And seriously, when you're done listening, do yourself a favor and go to iTunes or wherever you get your music and download one of her albums to hear her sing. You will not be disappointed. Now, here's our guest, Carter Calvert.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Natty Cast. And now to your hosts, Tim Barker, Rex Stull, and Ron Thomas.
All here in attendance, except for Matthew, who's going to join us, to a gala that celebrated that was in the benefit of the SCPA Fund.
Right, which is where we all went to high school. That's how we all know each other.
And Carter, who is joining us here today, was honored last night, and by the way, an amazing performance.
Thank you.
It was
phenomenal.
It really was just great because you expect, okay, I'm going to get up on stage and give a little speech, but Carter did. I felt like we got a snippet of her one-woman show. I mean, it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You had that full orchestra behind you.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it was truly amazing. I mean, I don't feel worthy. I do feel grateful, and my heart was just wide open. And I went and rehearsed with the orchestra the day before our concert last night, our gala. And I just was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I'm just going to be crying. Like, I was just like, and like when you're a belter, you cannot hide. So it is there. Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, like I want to be good. I already don't feel worthy. And like, now what if I suck? Like, they're just going to be like, why in the world did this? Whose idea was this? Like there would be meetings.
So it struck me when I was watching that. And I have a vivid memory of the first time we did The Wiz, and you even mentioned it there.
Sixth grade. And I was in 6th grade.
And I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
And I was running Follow Spot. And that was the show that ended up going to the National Theater in Washington, right? There was a whole thing. But
I was the leader of the Mice Squad.
He was.
You better represent.
He was. Hey there. It was amazing.
But I just have this vivid memory, like the first. So I didn't know who you were, right? You had just
Nobody did. She came in strong. Like,
that's what I mean. Nobody
that?
Walked into the school and just blew the back of the theater out when they started singing. It just didn't happen. You knew who they were. You watched them kind of step up to it. Then they got the chance, and it didn't surprise you. And I just remember running Follow Spot and thought, where did she come from?
Oh my gosh.
And everybody has, like you talk about, whatever your internal stuff. But the fact of the matter is from a stage, I watched you last night and I flashed back immediately from a stage presence perspective. Like whatever you're feeling before you get on the stage evaporates
Thank you.
I'm talking about from a public perspective.
Thank you.
And this just incredibly confident, owning it person is on the stage. But what flashed in my mind was, that was you in the 6th grade.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
I did not feel that way in the 6th grade at all.
you might not have felt that way yesterday, but
Yeah.
that's not the point.
Oh,
the
well,
point
thank you.
is what we see.
Well, and here, like it was Clive
And
Davis
here,
talks
absolutely.
about Whitney Houston and the voice, like like when you hear it. I mean, I can get chills right now
Oh, thank
because
you.
that's how, and everyone felt that way. Like you just knew it. You were like, this girl can sing,
Oh, well, thank you.
and I know you know that. I mean, you've got to feel that.
I do feel
Yeah.
like I have talent and I want to be good, but I feel like what I wanted to bring to the evening was like inclusivity. I wanted to talk about my experience with the school, and I feel like I'm like kind of in that moment. I'm sort of the host, so it's like if you come to my house, I will overwhelm you with like, do you want cocktails, do you want, you know what I mean, almost to the point where people are like, just back off. But I feel like sort of a host in that moment.
But you did it in the form of, like, you wrote this little mini musical about your life. It was fantastic, right? You did it where you would periodically burst into song that reinforced your story.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank
It-
you.
Very well done.
Did you write that? That was
I
all yours
did.
written,
Yeah.
because
It was
it doesn't
all-
even come off that way. It was like
Thank
it was
you.
coming off the top of your head.
Thank
you know,
you.
seriously.
Well, it was kind of interesting.
Including all the songs she did. She wrote all of those songs.
I did. I wrote "Don't Rain in My Parade." Everyone knows that, but I also wrote "Memory" from
which
Cats, which is one of those ones that most people don't know that I wrote it, but
They
I
don't.
did.
It's a song they realize, they go, I wonder who wrote that.
I wonder who wrote it, and it turns out it was me. It was me.
Well, you just said about you know you have talent, but I do want to point out that because I personally know how hard you've worked, and you did allude to that in the story last night. But I've watched you, so I know how hard you've worked. So
Well, Ron and
don't
I were
discount
in
that.
the Deep in the Heart of Country show together at Kings Island.
And by the way, I was crushed last night to learn that the following year, where Carter was also in Deep in Heart of Country, and I ran sound for it, Carter did not remember me running sound for it at all.
I remember Ron.
Totally.
He's
Crystal
what I remember.
Tail. You were Crystal Tail. You
I
were
was Crystal Tail. No, wait a minute. I was Dolly Garden.
Dolly Garden.
Dolly Garden.
There you
And
go.
I was like, here I come again, looking bigger than a body has a right to. And I was the biggest girl on the show, so that was like equal painful.
And before we get ahead of ourselves, so
Right.
born and raised in Cincinnati? I mean,
No,
where-
I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. My dad was a commander in the Navy.
Oh,
And
I didn't know that.
Yes.
We buried the lead on this one.
Yeah.
didn't we?
Did not know that.
And so we lived there, and then that was great. I loved being born in Hawaii. I loved living in Hawaii. I loved the beach. I loved the taste of fresca with like a little bit of sand in it. Like I can still taste that. And then my dad got transferred to Pascagoula, Mississippi. And that, I remember going to my parents' room and saying, hey, listen, whatever I did, I'm sorry. And can we please just move back to Hawaii?
And by the way, you're sitting at the table with two people who've also been to Pascagoula, Mississippi. So we feel your pain because there's a big shipyard in Pascagoula.
Yes, that's
which
where
I'm
my
sure
dad
is
worked.
Why he was moved there.
Oh, yeah.
And Ron and I have both done dry docks for cruise ships in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Ooh,
in fact,
I'm
together.
sorry for your loss.
Man,
I'm
oh,
sorry.
man.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
rough.
so-
That's rough.
and how long were you there for?
3 years.
Okay.
So what age did you guys move then from Hawaii?
Okay, so we moved. Okay, I have to like get on my abacus. We lived in Hawaii till I was almost 6. Then we moved to Pascagoula, where I lived for 3 years. So
9.
Okay, so around that time, I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. And my dad retired, and I went to Milford Elementary School. So I was there my 4th and 5th grade year. And then my mom was like, had heard about SCPA. And so she was like, why don't you audition? And then we pulled up to the school, and my mom was like, maybe you don't want to go here. And I was like, I stepped foot in SCPA, and I was like, I'm going to school here. Like, you could just feel this magic. I felt it every day.
Were you singing in like church choir, or like was
Oh
singing
yeah,
part
I
of
was
like
always
prior to that?
singing and
Yeah.
I was always.
Don't you feel like Carter was singing at breakfast in the morning? Like her mom was like, we have got to find an outlet for this young woman.
we
Yeah.
do, because we are tired of it, and like the acting and the schmacting and all the things.
Wow.
And so I went. I auditioned and I got in, and I just never looked back. I was like, these are my people. This is my
Do you
family.
remember your audition?
I do. I don't remember what I sang.
But do you remember who you like?
No, I just remember like, because I grew up in a very like sort of white middle class area. And it's like all of a sudden I walked in and it's like everyone's black, everyone's white, everyone's mixed, there's all these different socioeconomic backgrounds. And gay and straight and all of a sudden I was just like, I don't look at the world. Like after that audition, I was like, I don't feel like the same way I was raised to feel about gay people.
Almost like you'd found your home.
I just was like, I just think everyone's gorgeous and beautiful, and like I just want everyone to be my friend. Like I just had a whole different view of the world from that audition. I literally felt different about the world.
Did you come in as a vocal major? Do you remember?
I mean, I think you just kind of had to audition for everything. I don't think you were allowed to just declare you were a major.
Probably not.
You had to I had to audition in front of Mr. Frank Lane, and I was just like, I don't know if I can sing because I was so terrified of him. I was so scared. In fact, I was so scared of him from that audition. I didn't even want to audition for the first musical once I got accepted to the school, which was Oliver.
Yeah.
And I talk about this last night. I had to be an usher. Because you had, like back then, I don't know what it's like now, but you had to like do
Alton
something.
was doing that as well.
Right.
Yeah. And every night seeing like Tim Barker and singing Food, Glorious Food, I was just like, that's where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be on that stage.
Alton told us, we were here day before yesterday with him, almost exactly the same story. And he came much later, right? I think it was a sophomore
10th
year.
grade.
10th grade. And
surprised.
whoever gave him, Nancy Allen, I think, gave him his tour. And who he said I thought was a teacher and was a student.
Oh, that's so funny because everyone was so mature.
Yeah. And he was like, he realized that she was actually in his grade. He was, but he asked her, what should I do? And she just said, do anything you can. Sign up for anything.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He first thing he did was usher, and he's just kind of standing there watching this with his eyes like saucers.
I couldn't believe how talented I couldn't believe it wasn't a professional production. And what was interesting is then somebody did a national tour of Oliver and ended up taking like a ton of our students to like on the tour.
I think it was Todd and Randy.
And Randy and James Moore.
Yeah.
So it was just like this it was just an incredible school. And I love that I had that opportunity because it made me so hungry that I was just like, I want to be on that stage. I don't care what I have to do, and I gave me like a fearlessness because I was so scared of auditioning for like a scary teacher, and I just was like, well, if that's what I have to do to get on that stage, I'm gonna do it. And back then, I'm sick in 6th grade and I'm auditioning in front of Alton Fitzgerald White, and I'm auditioning in front of we knew him as Roscoe Carroll, but then he became Rocky Carroll and Daryl and all of these superstars. You had to sing in front of them, and nothing can hurt you after that. Nothing feels scarier than that, and I've never been more terrified in those moments ever.
Wow. And then you cast in The Wiz, and then start roles, graduate.
Yeah.
And with that confidence, where are you looking at for schools? What's your mindset on that point of
I wanted to major in musical theater, and so I auditioned and got accepted to Webster University, which is also your alma mater. That was really fun. I'm just going to sidebar for a second.
Yeah,
please do.
Tim Barker is supposed to be in my life. We keep running into each other. We go to the same college together. Then we end up in New York together. Then I'm like, hey, do you know anything about these commercial agents? He's like, those are my commercial agents. And so it was just I just was like, you're supposed to be in my life, forever. I mean, that's how I look at it. Now, he's part of my friend group, and his wife I just adore. And so it's
You're sweet.
But anyway, to get back, so I go to Webster University. I end up transferring from Webster to a small liberal arts college. I do feel like I wanted more education. I'm not education, but I felt like I wanted liberal arts education. And so I ended up transferring to a different college, and but I still, ended up I moved from there to LA, where I was supposed to be with a cruise ship, but my dance audition was they just turned on the radio and I can move.
Yeah.
But then when I got there, it was 5, 6, 7, 8, bop, 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 bop. And I was just like, what is happening?
I'll come
This
out with
is
the
in Los
microphone and
Angeles.
sing a solo in the middle of
this
it.
was in LA. I was
Right,
what is going on? So I go there, and I get fired from the cruise ship because
Do you remember what cruise line you were?
I know what the production was.
Okay.
It was like Anita Man Productions.
Oh, wow. Okay. Rob and
guys are
I
not-
both did a Nina Man production.
Another connection. Holy cow.
Okay, see, we're all supposed to be each other's
Yes,
lives.
indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I get fired. Well, now I need a job. I live in LA. And so I just applied to be, like, back then you got the trades.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just applied to be a tour guide at Universal Studios. I'm like, at least I'm like.
Children, the trades were paper magazines.
They were
That's
paper.
right.
You went to the newsstand.
Ask your mom and dad what paper
Yeah.
is. So, and then from there I get a tour guide. And then from there.
Oh, did you do
Was that fun?
the
Did you enjoy that?
No, I didn't. It was torchy.
Okay.
It was like.
I would have loved to have Carter as my tour
I know.
guide
I
at
think that would
Universal
be
Studios.
fun.
I just made stuff up.
Exactly.
I would have loved it.
You see this over here? Jaws? No, that wasn't a shark.
Do you have any
That was
idea
a
what
frog.
year this was? What year was this?
Oh gosh.
The reason I ask is I lived out in L.A. in
Todd Loizo was
early
living
90s.
out there
Okay,
at
yeah,
the time.
Okay, well, so
Yeah.
we were all out there at the same time, and my roommate worked at Universal, and another actually friend of mine had helped me meet her, and I had been touring, but I would come back to LA, and I was in town. But it was cool because we could get in Universal for free.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, I did more than one Universal tour just like for the hell of it. Like,
Yeah,
you just roll
I
up
don't.
there.
I'm terrible. I will never be able to write my autobiography. I don't remember any dates. I don't know if it was yesterday or like 12 years ago. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
Yeah.
No. So then from there, I just would I saw in the trades like, ooh, they're doing a show at Universal Studios. It was the Blues Brothers show, and based on the Blues Brothers movie, and they were like, you just need to sound like Aretha Franklin. They didn't say you needed to look like Aretha Franklin. So I was like, I can sing Aretha Franklin. So I go and I audition, and I end up being like the first white Wanda in the Blues Brothers show, which now would never happen. But anyway, and then from there, I got the attention of Ron Taylor, who was the original man-eating plant in Little Shop of Horrors, because his wife was a black Wanda.
Yeah.
And she was just like, there is this white girl, and like
She could
people were in an
sing.
uproar. So it
Yeah.
my name was being talked about. And so she was like, they were doing this show called It Ain't Nothing But the Blues. And they needed a white girl that could sing soul and country and Patsy Cline and, all the things that I felt like I could do.
Carter was born to do.
I felt like I was born to
Yeah.
play that role.
Yeah.
And that was being done in New York?
It was
Where-
being
where-
done at the Denver Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the Denver Center. And so I go and I audition in Ron Taylor's living room with Eloise Laws, who from the Laws family, like the huge Deborah Laws, like Ronnie Laws, like every single one of
Who were the
members.
Laws? What
There are
is that
these
for?
famous like jazz people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
the famous jazz people.
Got it.
And so
And you went to their house.
I went to Ron Taylor's house.
Wow.
And I auditioned, and I was like, I went home and I was like, I want that part. I don't feel like they really saw what I could do. I snuck back in the house and I put my demo tape like on top of their.
You did?
Yes, I was like a stalker. Like now I
that's
would have been like
crazy.
running for the hills,
And
but I was like with my headshot.
By the way, I was just going to caution the kids, don't go to people's houses to do
Do not
auditions.
go.
Right.
But apparently, if you're a producer, don't invite Carter over.
Do not let me know where you
She's
live.
gonna wear
I
it back in
will
again.
show up. I will like hide behind somebody, and I will show up at your door and be like, "Why didn't you call me
So
back?"
you snuck.
I
Yeah.
snuck my demo, and I ended up getting cast in it. And
Do you think they heard the demo tape? Did you ever find out?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Right.
I hope not, because I'm sure it was terrible. and so what I didn't know was that the director really wanted his white girl that he liked that was really more of a Janis Joplin-y type. So he was like kind of prepared to like fire me if he didn't like. But I had a demo tape of the show that they had given me, like a bootleg copy. So I was completely off book the first day of rehearsal.
Right.
So you kind of like
Yeah.
couldn't like.
Yeah,
Right.
there's
You
no
did.
reason,
There
right?
was no like. Well, she doesn't know her part.
Yeah.
She
Right.
knew. I knew my part, your part, your part, and
Yeah.
I knew everybody's
Outstanding,
part.
yeah.
I was just like fearless. Like I was like, I'm getting. This is my chance.
Yeah.
And it was like the most magical experience. It was like the most talented group of people singing the most amazing songs. It was like, I was a white girl on the show that felt like home to me.
But converged to the perfect right? I mean, those kinds of songs are perfect for your voice.
It really was.
I mean, really,
Blues
yeah.
and jazz and Peggy Lee and Patsy Cline. And, it was just so fun. Well, the show, went on a tour, and then it was going to go to at the San Diego Rep. And I had just come back from the national tour of Cats, and I think I thought I was recording an album. I think I thought I was all that, and it was like $400 a week, and I was like, I don't want to do this part for $400. Plus I was singing in clubs in New York, and I was like working at the Candle Schtick, like getting paid under the table. Like I was making some cute money, and I was like, I don't want to leave and go do a $400 a week job, because everybody else, because they had been like the originals, they all had points on it. And I kept turning it down, and they were like, well, what if you're the dance captain? And I'm like, didn't I get fired for
we just found out about being a dance captain.
Dance captain? Yeah,
That's
Elton was talking about the
lucrative.
Yeah, lucrative.
Yeah. Not at the San Diego Rep.
Oh, I see.
I was like, I'll be the dance captain. How
I
much
see.
is it? They were like $40 more a week.
Right.
They just wore me down, though.
But
They
let me track
wore
this
me
now
down.
so that we're on.
Yes.
So you're LA, then this job comes up in Colorado, Denver Center.
Mm-hmm.
And now are you based still in LA before? Like how does this you said then there was national tours, so it's like where
Yes.
help us
Okay, yes.
like did you have an agent at the time that was like booking
so
this for you?
No.
Okay.
What happened was It Ain't Nothing But the Blues was so successful, and the reviews were like, all of us were singled out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting rave reviews. Everybody in the cast, the show was a phenomenon. It was special.
So it wasn't intended to go to Broadway when you joined it.
No,
but
I
because
was
of
in,
this,
and then it just kept getting invited to more and more regional theaters.
Right.
But in the meantime, after Denver, then I think it went to the arena in
DC?
Washington, D.C.
Yep.
It went to the arena stage. And then it went to the Cleveland Playhouse. So
Are these decent sit down? I mean, are you there for a
yeah,
week
we're there.
or a month?
And me,
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to LA. I don't have a place to live.
Right.
So I
Right.
would audition for whatever show they had. And
Right.
because I was they could be like, Carter's back from It Ain't Nothing But the Blues. So I just kept getting
You
cast.
just were bouncing
Yeah.
from
I was
gig
bouncing,
to gig to gig.
bouncing.
Got it.
I literally just went from
that's
this
where the
job.
national tour came in for.
And then I did Sunday in the Park with George at the arena stage. And then I met a friend that we really hit it off. And he was like, you can crash at my house, until you find a place. So I moved to New York.
Are you booking these gigs without an agent still, or by that point you had an agent?
Booking them without an agent.
Wow.
Well, what was the one you were talking about with Cats though that you were telling the story last night about the agent saying?
Yes. So now I live in New York because I've finally have to get a place to live.
Yeah.
I finally have to get
And
a
you
place.
decide, why not it be New York?
Why not be New
yeah,
York? Because I'm like, it's not hard to get shows. Apparently it is. So I go there. I'm I'm working at the Candle Schtick during the day. I'm singing in clubs at night. I'm going and I'm auditioning on my dinner break or lunch break, in between. Every chance I got, and plus at the Candle Schtick, everybody was in shows. So we were always like, go to your audition.
Where's
go.
the Candle Schtick?
It was
what
on
is
the
that?
Upper West Side.
Oh, okay.
It was
Got
on
it.
92nd and Broadway.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you were as a server, or what
No.
were you?
It was a store.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
You
just
like
a
selling
candle store.
candles?
Oh,
Candles.
candles.
Oh, yeah. And
I
everybody
know. I
came
thought,
in.
I thought it was a review.
Candle Schtick,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
I was thinking,
Candlestick. We're doing some candlestick.
This smells like vanilla bean.
Ooh, that reminds me of this song. No, so we.
I was with you too.
So
Sorry.
no, I'm sorry. I just assume everybody knows
Use the
every,
Candle
exactly.
Schtick.
place.
Well, I mean, I always used to buy my candles, so it just
At
slipped
the
my mind.
Candle
At the
Schtick.
Candle
Yeah, which was also
Hey,
like.
Matthew, this is our sponsor, and now a word
Candle
from
Schtick.
Candle Schtick.
The Natty Cast is supported by Mad Cheese. Mad Cheese is a completely plant-based, dairy-free cheese and charcuterie shop located in Madisonville. The owners, Cincinnati natives Heather and Reggie Donaldson, handcraft over 30 different plant-based cheeses and meats in their commercial production kitchen behind the storefront. You're invited to stop in and sample the wide array of products, book a curated tasting, or sign up for the new subscription box program, which will feature an exclusive new cheese every month with recipes and board building tutorials. For more, head to Instagram and Facebook at Mad Cheese Cincy or go to www.madcheese.com. And with that, back to the show.
Okay, so you're in New York.
Okay, so I'm in New
You've got-
York, and I'm working at the Candle Schtick, and I'm singing in clubs, and I get an audition from my agent to come.
How did
and-
the agent come about, though?
Oh,
Like, how
because
did-
I have a friend I
Friend of a
met
friend?
at another regional
Okay.
theater, and he
Gotcha.
was like, "I'll hook you up."
Yep.
And so I got an agent like pretty easily. Like I guess they trusted him or whatever, and I just came in and met with them.
The good news is you can sing, Carter. So I mean,
Yeah.
most any agent could hear, okay, the girl can sing.
They
Let's see
didn't
if we
even
can-
have me sing.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
They just took you
They
on
just
sight
took me
unseen.
on, which
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So then so then I get an audition to be the understudy for Grisabella for the National Touring Company of Cats. And I was like, I want a job.
Dream
like,
job,
I
right?
don't. Well, I don't
Or-
like. I mean, I guess in our minds we want to originate roles, you
Hmm.
know. But I was like, I just want to work, you
Right.
know. And I was like scraping dollar, you know.
She
from,
was
like,
working at the
Paycheck to
Candle
paycheck.
Schtick.
I was working at that Candle Schtick.
Yep.
So I go and I audition. And I could tell that they were like really into me because they were like, well, what else can you do? And what, you know, like they were really like, where have you been? And like, who are you? And I was just like, well, this feels
I've been
good.
working at the Candle Schtick.
I'm working at perhaps I sold you a taper. You know, this is where you've seen me. And I go and then I come home and I'm pretty sure I got that job. And like, I don't hear anything. I finally reach out. I'm like, you know, like what's going on? Like, I thought they really liked me. They were like, they're like, let us know if she gets anything else. And I was just like, well,
Oh, one of those.
yeah. And
Okay.
I'm just like, boo. And then the next thing I know, they're like, all right, we would like her to come do, you know, 6 weeks starting blah, 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 blah. And so I was just like, as Grisabella, not the understudy. So that was,
That's pretty amazing.
that was pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. It was like, that was amazing.
And that was tour 6 weeks. Do you know different
Yeah, I was
cities?
in Chicago.
Okay.
I was in Naples. I was all over. Yeah,
Got it.
I mean, I don't remember.
I mean, say what you want about Cats. I mean, it was Cats.
Yeah,
right.
but
I
at
mean,
least I got to sing that one song, the only song that anybody gives to FBS
That you wrote.
about. That I wrote.
That you wrote, yes.
That I wrote. That's why it's close to home, because it's from my own story.
Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly. Yeah.
and we'd have
know
Carter
what he
sing it
wants.
here, but we can't afford the royalties.
Exactly.
That's right. Or Carter singing it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That's a jokey McJoke. You know, I will sing for some decaf McCafe coffee.
Yeah, there you go.
So 6 weeks.
Yes.
Now you're back in
So
New
now
York.
I'm back, and now I'm working on an album, and now they're like, "Do you want to come do It Ain't Nothing But the Blues at the San Diego Rep for $400?" And I'm like, "No." And then they're like, "You
that's
could be
the-
dance captain for $40 more."
Right, okay.
And I'm like, "That's the magic number."
Right.
You got it.
You know my,
440.
you know my bottom line.
Right.
So I go there, and that's when I meet Gregory Porter, who
Well, you go there. You take the job?
I take the job.
Oh, okay.
How the hell do you afford to live in San Diego on $400?
Because I sublet my apartment to someone I did Cats with.
Oh,
So
okay.
now
All
I'm
right.
making
She's working it.
I'm making $440 large.
You're making more money off your sublet than you were for doing this show.
100%. Except for I was stupid back then, so I was like, "Well, I pay this much a month, so you know."
Oh.
Yeah, I was dumb. I wasn't a smart business person. Okay, so Gregory Porter is like a massage therapist / singer, and he's in the show with us, and it's like, you know, like he's so young, like he's younger than me. We were the two youngest ones in the show, and he is like, you just know, like he's gonna, like he's amazing, like his voice is incredible.
He's got the it.
He's
the
got
it.
the it.
Yeah.
And he's just, and like, we become best friends because we're, you know, the youngest. And the show, again, rave reviews. So then I'm trying to keep this straight. Then I feel like we get invited to Crossroads Theater in New Jersey. And again, like a rave review in the New York Times. Or in their New Jersey version. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, all right, well, we would love you to do it at this theater called the New Victory in New York. And then we go do it at the New Victory, and the New York Times reviews it, and it's like a love letter. It is like rave reviews. It is like must see, blah, blah, blah. And then like 2 weeks later, we're at Lincoln Center.
Wow.
After that
man.
review. Yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah.
are you just pinching yourself? I mean, at this point,
I
you're just
could
like,
not
how?
sleep.
Yeah.
I could not. First of all, I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for giving me that extra $40."
Are you to 460
that
now?
would've been a
Did you go from 450 to 460?
yeah, I was like, I'm going to need a bump if it goes to Broadway. I'm going to need $20 more. And they were like, yeah.
Well, that's the true definition of work begets work. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it
Like
is
if you would
true.
turn that down,
It is true.
who knows where that path would have
Who
possibly led, you
knows?
know?
Yeah, who
and
knows?
it led to much more than 440.
It did. It
Yeah.
did.
Well, especially when it's for the right part.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the right part.
It was unbelievable. And to like be a part of something that you get to originate, the tempos are my tempos, I get to put my spin, like I wrote my own dialogue, you know, like it was just magical.
And full disclosure, I was there. I saw
Yes,
it. So
he wore like a bowling shirt, and I was like, I could not believe the leader of the mice squad is in the audience.
You
so
were phenomenal.
nervous, so scared.
You were
so
phenomenal.
Can't believe my good fortune. And then the show gets nominated for like 5 Tony Awards.
Wow.
So yeah, so.
Did you get to go to the Tony Awards? Did
No,
you? Oh, you
we were
didn't?
supposed to go and
Right.
perform. We got bumped, and David Letterman got word about it. I don't know if for you kids at home, David Letterman used to be like
A legend.
a legend.
And I think he does stuff on Netflix still.
He
so
does.
maybe
he
he
does,
gets it.
Yeah. To me, he's the king.
Yeah.
And so he has us onto his show to perform the number that we got booted off the Tony Awards. And it felt gross because we were like the only black show. And you know what I mean? It had notes of ick.
Yeah.
And so he has us on there. And Kevin Spacey.
You did. This was the original, like this, after he had his own show at the Ed Sullivan, or was this when he was
When he's
still.
on CBS or NBC?
This was.
You remember?
This was at CBS.
Okay.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
at, yeah.
Nice.
Now I know why.
Because that's the Ed Sullivan Theater.
No,
Right.
I know why. Because he hated CBS and he loved that they made a colossal mistake that was giving them horrible reviews in the paper. So he wanted to rub it in their face, and that's he grudge invited
By the way,
us.
that's typical
He
Letterman.
grudge
That's fantastic.
invited us
That's
on the
great.
show. Yeah. So it just was an amazing ride, and then from there, I just I did the show on Broadway. Then it moved to the Ambassador Theater. I performed it at the Ambassador Theater, which is another Broadway house in New York. And then from there, I got a European tour of Smokey Joe's Cafe, and so I left the show to go do that, and then just regional theaters and just been lucky enough to like do my own show at different theaters around, and I recorded an album called It's a Man's World, where I take songs that are made famous by men and kind of put my own spin. And I heard all of these amazing. My husband
Is that available anywhere?
It is. It's like on all the major things. Apple, I don't even know what.
Well,
Sure.
iTunes, no. Wendy and I I told Carter before the gala, the night before, I said, hey, let's listen to something. We listened to it. It's great. It's fantastic.
Well, it was just such a joy to make. I got to work with Ulysses Owens Jr. He was the producer. My husband executive produced it. And then just like all of these jazz heavyweights. I mean, I had just all of these incredible award-winning musicians on it. And it was just such a joy. It was.
And then when did Always Patsy Cline kind of come on your radar? Like when because you've done many different
I have. I did it at the
productions of
Cincinnati
it.
Playhouse in the
Yes.
Park. I did it in at Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park. I don't know, like maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. And that to me was making it, because going to SCPA, making that trek to Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park was just joy. I mean, you were out of school, you were seeing professional theater. It was like we got to go to the talkback. Like it was beautiful. Like it was amazing.
I remember when I toured with a show called True, and it was great. We were on tour. When we came to play Cincinnati, for me, it was just like, the whole crew was there. I'm like, oh, I'm in my hometown.
That's right.
100%. 100%.
So true.
And so I got cast. Because the director that wanted to fire me from It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, who then grew to love me, Randall Myler. And I don't know if he wanted to fire me. That's the legend I heard. So let's go with it.
let's
We'll
go
go
with
with
sounds
it.
good.
But
Yeah,
anyway, he was doing Always Patsy Cline, and because he knew I could sing Patsy Cline,
You're
he hired
so
me
good
without
at that
having to
role.
like audition.
I don't even have to hear you sing Patsy
I
Cline.
know.
I love her.
I can go to 6th grade Carter and go,
Oh, yeah.
she can know
I
Patsy
love
Cline.
Pat. I
Yeah.
grew up. My dad joined the 8-track. I know this makes me seem ancient, but he joined the 8-track Tape of the Month Club.
Look that one up, kids.
Yeah, I know,
Both
right.
the Tape of the Month Club and 8-track.
Yes, exactly. And then go, how old is she? And add 10 years to that. So he signs up for the country music 8-track Tape of the Month Club. And like the first month is like Slim Whitman, and then it's like Boxcar Willie, and I'm just like, I'm gonna throw myself out of this car. And then Patsy Cline, and I just became a forever fan. Like she is like up there as one of my truly favorite artists. So to get to sing Patsy Cline at Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, where they designed their costumes that I had were unbelievable. Like Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park does not play.
It's a really
my costume fittings were like, I still feel like I'm in it right now. Like it was forever long, and it was like this has to be on the this, and this has got to look, and it looked exactly like every album picture she ever did. My costume looked exactly like it.
Have you seen it since they've completely rebuilt it?
I haven't.
Okay, you should take a shot through. And Tim took me up there to see a show, and we stuck our head in the main theater.
Fun.
Yeah,
because our friend Joe Kovacs.
And Joe Kovacs is
Yeah.
doing
Joe Kovacs is
and
a costumer.
costumes. I love it.
Yeah.
That's so fabulous. And so I have all these gorgeous costumes, and then the Ogunquit, Maine theater. What's it called? Ogunquit Playhouse.
Yeah.
Ogunquit Playhouse.
By the way, that's a circuit. North Shore, we used to do.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff would come through North Shore Music Theater and go to Algonquin.
Yep.
And that. So I've been up to Algonquin
It's
as well.
gorgeous.
It is
It's
great.
so beautiful.
It is.
And I get an audition for Always Patsy Cline's opposite Sally Struthers. So we get, I go and I audition, and the same thing. She wanted she didn't even see me, but she wanted this person that she worked with. And this person was like, I'm not doing, they were like, $40 more, you can be the dance captain.
Yeah.
She was like, no, I'm absolutely not doing this job. And so I ended up getting it. And like that
didn't know
became
that.
a
That's-
beautiful
wow.
friendship with
Yeah.
Sally Struthers. Like it was like love at first sight. She is truly, my daughter calls her fairy godmother. We just we text each other all the time about the election. And so we just love each other.
And then in the small world of things, I wind up getting cast to do 9 to 5 the musical at Ogunquit with Sally Struthers.
Yes.
So then that's how we
Really?
all kind of
Yes,
Oh, that's
yes. So like whenever Sally Struthers comes over, of course, Tim and his gorgeous wife Tracy, they come over too,
Yeah.
because we're the family. And because she and I, we just had great chemistry. So we just loved it. Like the audiences could feel how much we loved each other. And so
And it's funny because people who didn't know her from All in the Family then just vividly remember her doing those. She did for years. She did those commercials
Save the
for the
Children.
Save the Children Fund, which I think then people just associated with her, which was an amazing piece of-
Organization.
and for her, I mean, she
But she toured the
dedicated
world.
so
and-
much time and
she-
energy to
She
that.
really did.
Yeah.
She definitely made a difference. And then she was on Gilmore Girls, which is how my daughter fell in love with her, because my daughter was such a fan of Gilmore Girls,
Oh,
and
wow.
so was I, because now my best friend Sally Struthers is on it. So we just would watch it and just like, and then I'd be like, so what happened in this episode? She's like, I don't remember that. I don't remember what I did. I was like, no, it's because the thing and the. And she's like, girl, I've done like 9,000 things since then. But I'm like,
Wow.
but to me, it just happened.
The Natty Cast would like to take this opportunity to tell you about Red Oak Animal Rescue. It is a local nonprofit animal sanctuary right here in the Cincinnati area. If you're looking for a good way to give back to your community and see some cute animals on your feed all at the same time, please head over to Red Oak Animal Rescue on Instagram or Facebook, or check them out at their website, redoakanimalrescue.com. The best way to support Red Oak Animal Rescue is to check out the Patreon page and sign up for a monthly subscription, or click the link to check out some of their adorable merch. Once again, the Natty Cast is very happy to support Red Oak Animal Rescue, and with that, back to the show.
And are you working on an album, or what's kind of the next?
So right now, I'm.
Wait a minute,
Okay,
we
go
missed
ahead.
something here, Tim.
Did we? What did we miss?
Do you have a child?
I do. I do. I have the most
She has a daughter.
amazing
I looked that up I found that on her bio.
Well, she just said it.
I know, but we haven't introduced her.
Oh, okay.
It's all right.
All right.
It's. I could talk about Ella all day. Like I could come back and talk about her for the rest of the week. So, oddly enough, Tim and I have the same commercial agent. And I just was always like, I felt like maybe I wanted to be a mom someday, but I was never one of those I gotta, I just was not like that.
Sure.
And I got this great commercial. It was for somebody that had, what do you call it?
I remember that.
Wait, what is
I
it
think I
called
visited
when
you
had
on
that?
set.
Yes.
Like it was shot in Brooklyn.
Yes. You came with your sweet dog. Oh,
Yeah, Amber.
Incontinence. It was a
Yeah.
woman with incontinence.
I was going to say to you, please let it be an incontinence.
Yes. And
Incontinence or hemorrhoids, right? Those are the
yes,
two.
and so I did this commercial, and it was literally it was on every, you would change the channel, and then I'm like,
Look, Mom, it's
It
the
was
incontinence lady.
Sally
Yeah.
Struthers doing
Exactly.
Fancy Children, and then Carter
worse,
going,
because she's got
No, but
she's
you
not
guys were
saving the world.
back to
she's
back.
peeing on it. So all of a sudden, and so then I'm doing this show called I did Forbidden Broadway in New York, and then I was hired to do Forbidden Vegas. So I'm out in Vegas, and I've never been in anything like this before, and all of a sudden I'm getting all this residual money, and the next thing I know, I'm I've got equity insurance, I've got SAG insurance. And I say to my then husband, I'm like, if there's ever a time to have a baby, it needs to be right now, because we have all this money we're saving, we're both working on the show, on this Vegas show. Let's just sock all the money I'm getting from this commercial, because I'm not going to probably be able to work for a while, And so it was one of those things where I was just well, it's going to take a while to make a baby. And turns out sometimes it's not. And that scared the SHIT out of me. I was I didn't mean now,
Right.
And so anyway, so we have Ella, and she's just been we only have one. She's perfect. We just love her. I'm now married to a wonderful man named Roger Cohen, and we just and her dad, Bill, is incredible. So everybody gets along, even though we're divorced, everybody, we work together for her whole life. I mean,
Fantastic.
it's really beautiful. I feel very lucky, because I know my situation's not like a lot of people's.
Right.
And she's amazing. I mean, she can do everything. She was in Katie and Mean Girls. She went to Bronx Science, which is where all the smarty pants go to school in New York.
Does she want to be a performer and follow in her mom's footsteps?
She loves
or?
dancing. No, she's too smart. She's studying to be a vet at Cornell. She's
Wow.
brilliant.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
there you
she's
go.
no joke. She's legit smart. So we're always is there a mix-up? But then she loves Cincinnati chili and a hot sauce. So I'm she's mine. Yeah.
I always say, it was advice my dad gave to everybody and anybody who wanted to go into the business. If you can do something else, probably do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
100%.
definitely.
Only do this if you have to do this.
100%. And even if you have to do this, maybe you shouldn't
Maybe.
do it.
Right?
If you're good at anything else, do that, because it's so hard and it's heartbreaking. It's really. So I will say that for the past few years, I really got into doing my own shows, because I just feel I've just been one of those people that's if you can make money, work, always work it, if there's hours in the day to make money, be in the show, but also do a reading, I won't say no to a sure thing, and I felt as I got older and got, got into investing my money and not feeling if you don't get this, you're gonna, I started getting smart. I just really kind of like took a moment and I just was started being very choosy about what projects I wanted to be part of. I didn't feel like I had to be in everything, and
but it's ingrained in you. You don't say no to opportunities.
To a sure thing,
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
or $40 more.
Or $40 more, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you do say no, it's for 40.
It's right.
We know the number.
We
It's
know
40.
what
the number is. It's $40.
Everybody out there now knows $40 more. Yeah.
And there's kind of a theme because Alton, who we just had on, his next book that he's got coming out is about money management and like reaching that point of right. Like
yes,
that,
absolutely.
It's so smart.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, like, my dad, I feel like I wish he would have told me more about investing, but like, you didn't do things, like, you just didn't really talk about money at all.
Alton was talking about that. The things
Same
that you
thing.
talk
Exact
about.
same
He
thing.
literally
I
just
say
said,
that to my
Yeah.
daughter now. I'm like,
Right.
you have $1,000. We need to invest this.
Save 10%.
Yes, like we can
pay
make
yourself
money.
first.
Like we really can. And I just didn't. I mean, I think I read this book by Susie Orman and it kind of changed my life. I stopped, like, if I was on tour, I'd be like, let's buy a bottle of wine and like hang out in my room. Or, we don't need to be at the bar choking back like $18 martinis.
Well, especially when you're working, even in the best of times, like you said, well, we're going to have a child. Let's do it now while we're both working.
While we're both working.
Because everybody knows in this business, even Cats closes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
or you wish it would, It's like anything could happen.
I used to say I had a reoccurring nightmare that I woke up on a bus and truck of cats.
I know. And everybody's like, near. But yeah, I just think it's, as you get older, well, there would be people that had done Cats, like, national tour for, like, since it started. They literally would be in debt. I'm like, how are you in debt? When are you spending this money? Like, and this was before, like, people had cell phones and computers, And I just would find like the sweetest, gayest guy. I'd be like, I'm clean and neat. Do you want to be roommates? I'm not going to be bringing anybody home.
Right.
They're like, they have somebody. And I would just save my money. I would save my per diem. I would put that money away.
We established
Smart.
last night, by the way, I have to interrupt here, that the host of our table last night, Steve Hamilrath, who I want to shout out here, invited the three of us to sit at his table with his brother Will and our wives, and Ron brought one of our.
I went to prom with Steve Hamilrath.
Well, that's what I was just going to say.
We found that out.
We learned last night, because none of us remembered, that Steve's senior prom, which would have been your junior prom, you went to prom as Steve's date.
Yes.
So Steve
my dad was like, she needs to be home by 11.
I think it was 10:30.
10:30. By the way.
He might be embellishing.
Yeah.
And so
I Commander.
His dad drops you off at the prom.
Because I had Kings Island rehearsal. Because I was like, I had been cast in Deep in the Heart of Country.
Which by the way, just so we're clear, I ran sound for that show. But,
right, but then what was the show we did?
We did the first year of Deep in the Heart of Country.
Okay.
So that year would have been, that was our senior year, Carter's junior year. We had a rehearsal that day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
the
we
day
did.
of prom.
Wow.
We did.
Yeah, that's why I showed up
Both
stag
years
and like
of prom.
Yeah, I
And the
showed up
second
in
year, I
black
was like,
jeans.
Yeah.
Because literally jumped in the car after rehearsal.
But it was so fantastic.
And came to prom.
So Carter's dad, by the way, we've established now as a commander, a retired commander.
Whatever that
from
means, it's double that.
That's 3 stripes.
Yeah.
That's the
or 3
striper.
strikes, you're out.
No,
drops
3
Carter
stripes
off
on his sleeve.
at the prom.
Yep.
And says to Steve, by the way, she has to be at Kings Island tomorrow, 10:30.
Yeah.
And he was like, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Walk her
and I
from
feel
the
like
prom.
it was like 9:15 when he
Right.
dropped me off because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him. Like everybody had eaten.
Well, there's after prom. No,
I was,
none of that's.
and like my mom was like, let's just get you a dress you could wear again.
You were
I look
dressed
like
as
the
Dolly
mother
Parton.
of the bride. I was like, here I come again.
Steve's like, is that a moo-moo?
Yeah, I know. He was like, I think there's some things going on under there, but I can't be sure.
Anyway,
there's no way to know.
when he told us
And there's
that
no way
last
he
night-
will know because I have to be home by 10:30.
That's right. Nobody's finding anything
Nobody's
else
going to
tonight.
learn.
No mysteries
There's
will be
no
revealed tonight.
gardens to be found.
No.
0. Did it get warm in here? It's hot, right?
It's all the prom Steve Hamilrath
Right.
talk.
But I want to hear how this began. How did you
Rex?
three?
You want to lead it? I mean, my mom had a stroke in 2023, so I was coming back into town a lot to care for her.
Yeah.
And so as a kind of a relief, focus, escape, going to a lot of Reds games and reconnecting with, and reaching out and talking to people that were here. And the three of us were at a game one afternoon, and we were just sitting around shooting the shit, and we just thought this would be a good idea.
We did. I was driving into the game, and I was just I was just thinking about that because maybe we'd been to one or two before, and as you do, you just get to start talking and telling stories, and specifically we started talking about the city and kind of memories and things like that, and we thought, and Ronnie has this amazing space here. And Matthew is producing stuff and doing so all of the barriers to entry to do something like this seem to be gone
right before us.
I mean, we just said there aren't any. Right? We don't have to. There's nothing we have to do. We don't have to invest in technology. We don't have to hire a booking agent to get guests. We can, there's people we can reach out to. We don't have to. Matthew's producing it for us, and we kind of just did it. For lack of a better word, on a whim and for our own, just for us. Just for us.
Well, you all are such good interviewers. I listened to your latest podcast with Dr. Tyra Lindsay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was so fun. Like, you asked her such great questions. She's so interesting. I had just done Alton and I had been invited to do. She put together this whole film festival.
Right.
In Waco, and so I was just there like a few months ago.
Oh, wow.
And I got to see her do it. So it was just so fun to like really kind of hear. I mean, I asked her some questions, when we were working together, but I just was like, and I'd been to her husband's wine bar or their wine bar.
Yeah. Nice.
Saw her perform. I mean,
so Carter's in front of all of us. We said we have to go to Waco.
I know.
Oh my gosh!
Down there.
Like, and tell me when you're going because I'm going too. Yeah,
well, and she
awesome.
apparently has they have like musicians there. That would be incredible. You and Tyra could both.
That would be fun.
Perform,
that would
right?
be fun.
Wow.
That
would be good.
That would be good.
And we'll in advance have to work out the fee thing, the situation. The
well,
fee
we
situation.
know that I'm going to need
$40.
$40 more. Well, I also work for wine, so
There you go.
but it's got to be at least $40 worth
of wine. That's
yes,
right.
exactly.
Tell you what, and we're hoping they'll have some Cincinnati wines coming soon.
Oh,
We
nice.
stressed that during our episode.
Well, there's only one way to know if it's any good.
Drink it.
Yes.
There you go.
Are you a sports fan?
I mean, I like the Reds.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like the Cincinnati Reds.
If
And I got
you-
excited when the Bengals were like doing really well. And
Yes.
stuff. Yes. And then when Taylor Swift told me it was okay to watch football, I got into
There you
it.
go.
Like,
That's right.
If you could wear one jersey of a Reds player, who would it be?
Now this is mean because I don't know who any of them are.
Oh, no. I didn't,
That's
I'm not,
fair.
it's not
Oh,
a test,
are they
okay.
sponsoring us or something?
No.
It's a question I ask
Is
every
it too
guest.
late to say like Pete Rose?
No, not at all.
Oh, you know.
There is no wrong answer.
We got
I
one.
know. I've got the right answer.
All right.
Johnny Bench.
All right.
Okay.
And I'll
That's
tell
right.
you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you
You're gonna
why.
say.
Because we did Damn Yankees
Yeah.
at Cincinnati School for Creative and Performing Arts.
Riverbend.
Well, I mean, but it was part of
yeah.
it was part of our musical theater, and Johnny Bench was in the show, and he like pulls me, has me come over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't like you like that, and I come over, and he's like, could you get me a drink? And I was like, yes, I will get you whatever you want. And he was like, and get yourself one too. And I was like,
Oh, well, there you
Hey,
go.
now.
dating.
Hey, now.
We're kind of a couple. It's complicated.
And again, Carter, I ran sound for that.
He sang in that.
This is the first time I've met you. So.
I know.
Yeah. He sang in that show. Remember,
he did.
Gary Sandy.
Oh,
He said-
yes.
Johnny.
Ron's mom pulled out when he passed away. He had saved as part of my memorabilia, not Ron's.
Okay.
That Ron's mom saved for me, which was fantastic. I have the original Damn Yankees program.
I have the poster.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Oh, outstanding.
Signed by Marty Brenneman.
Ooh.
Marty Brennan.
Marty
a
Brennan was
wedding
the voice
guest
of the
from
Reds
my
for
buddy
years,
Sean
Carter.
Smith.
I'll just
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was the announcer for the Reds.
I also
and he was
wanna-
in Damn Yankees
Thank
with
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me.
That's right.
Thank you
I
for
also
being my
want to
friend.
know, because speaking of sports, that you've sung the national anthem.
Well,
more than once, correct?
I have sung at several different places.
Which was your favorite?
Oh,
and why?
Cincinnati. Oh,
Oh, you did
Okay.
it here?
this was okay. This is
Yeah.
another cute story. Like, I literally have not thought about this in forever. So, the March shot was either going to have Crystal Gale sing the national anthem for the opening day game, which was against the Canadian people.
Montreal
Blue Jays.
Yes, those
Or blue-
people.
Oh, yeah.
And and that's the technical term, Canadian
The Canadian people.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
my favorite team. And so
Go sports.
Yes, sports are fun. So, remember, I was busy writing the music for Cats.
Yes, that's
So
true.
I've been
That's
busy and also very wealthy because of it. So I get a call, like one of those magic things, like you have an audition, like Jack Loiseau being called down, Susie Loiseau, you have an audition to sing the national anthem for the Cincinnati Reds opening day game.
Wait, this is in high school?
This is in high school.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is like I think
I had no idea.
I think I was
I
like
missed that entirely.
Well, because maybe I was my 12th grade year, so maybe you guys were gone by then. It's possible
okay.
you were gone.
Okay.
'cause
That
you
would make sense, 'cause I would have
And back
been
then we
all over
barely
that.
had telephones.
We
Back
would
then,
have been
so
your entourage to
I
that.
know.
We would have
Totally.
been
That would've-
security, you know,
that
with
would've been-
earpieces
Yeah.
and the whole nine
that would have
yards.
been fun.
I'd be like, I have to carry her music. This is the sheet
So
music.
I go to my audition, and it's in Marge Schott's office with like her
Oh
dog,
Again,
Shotzi.
kids, don't go to people's offices.
Yeah, or don't
Wait.
and don't invite me because I will bring my demo tape.
Was it the office in the stadium?
Yeah,
Her
it was the office
Okay.
in the
So
stadium.
when you go back and listen to some of the earlier episodes, so we have some great Marge Shot stories on there. So go ahead.
Okay, I
And
can't.
with the dogs. Were her
Well,
dogs
I'm a
there?
Fan.
Were
Yeah,
the-
her dogs were
yeah.
there.
The St. Bernards were there.
So
Okay.
I go there and I sing, the national anthem.
Is she
And
smoking a cig?
Probably.
Yeah.
And we'll say she is.
Wait, it sets the mood. It makes you feel like you're in a jazz
Yeah.
club.
It does. I like put some swing on it.
Stand over there.
Yeah. And so I sing, and she goes, "Well, it was down to you or Crystal Gale, and it's you." And so that
Wow.
was, and so
That's-
then they did like this whole like TV interview, like on one of the Cincinnati.
Do you have tape of it?
I have no idea where it is.
Oh, we got to find that.
do.
Yeah.
Matthew?
And they were like, and it was funny because the announcer was like, "This was to be the most exciting day of this young girl's life." And I thought to myself, I hope not. Like, this isn't like, I mean, it's exciting, but I got some big plans, And so, yeah.
You know what? That
Awesome.
might have been
Yeah.
one of Pete's first year or managing,
managing? Yeah.
manager. It would have been
Yeah.
probably, if it was your senior year, it probably would have been 87. Opening
Yeah.
day 87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
I'm helping
it
you
was
with the
If
dates.
it was the
Right.
Canadian people.
That's right. I'm just saying
Right.
about
They
your-
were playing
Yeah.
the Canadian people.
Yeah.
And then I had to
Expos.
sing "Oh Canada" too. So, and that's,
Oh, you did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
okay,
did.
let's
Oh,
talk
you
about
buried the
that.
lead.
Okay.
This
I
is
had to do-
actually
yeah, I just
so.
sing both.
What you have to rehearse that? Like, is that more
I had
difficult?
to learn
Like,
it. I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
just like roll out of bed like I got that in my book.
Well,
just in case.
Wow.
You
might.
good like that? So I'm just like, I
No,
don't
I-
know.
We didn't know if your dad had the 8-track
He
of
did.
Oh Canada.
He was like, it was just like everyone's national anthem. I was
It's
like,
K-Tel.
rewind that one. Is
Yeah.
that Patsy Cline singing? Yeah. So that
Is
was
that from strictly from a singing standpoint? Is that more difficult to sing than the national anthem? Oh Canada.
I think no. Nothing's
Okay.
harder to sing than the national
National
anthem.
anthem.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's really like that's a hard one.
Why? Let me ask you this then. Why is it then when someone's auditioning or as a I mean, I can carry a tune, but I don't consider myself a singer. But like, if you're auditioning, why they don't want someone to sing the national anthem in an audition?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably because they just don't want to hear it.
No.
No
well, they don't
offense.
feel like standing up.
Yeah, they don't. They don't want to
I'm
be like.
tired.
Yeah.
Shit, I ain't
And
standing
plus,
up.
you don't want to be like, my country 'tis of the next.
Right.
That's not like.
That was,
that's
Frank,
not,
that was Frank Lang's audition
Is that the
piece, by the
national
way.
anthem?
No, that
Yeah.
was My Country.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
which
boy.
oh say can you see
next?
Oh. Oh. By the way, My Country 'Tis of Thee, which I think most people don't realize, is actually the music to the British national anthem.
Right.
Oh,
God
okay.
Save the. It's the music, which was
God
was a
Save the
total
Queen,
God
yeah.
Save the King or now
Yes.
King. It was a
King,
total
sorry.
FU from the U.S. to them, where we're going to take your national anthem and we're going to write our own
That's
lyrics
right.
to
We're
it.
going to make it racist.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Now I'm still fascinated by this. So you did great. Or no, that would have been Riverfront, but you've sung it at other
Yes,
stadiums.
I've
other memorable
Yes,
spots
Chicago.
that you... Okay.
I sang in Chicago.
Baseball, football, basketball. What are we talking
Baseball.
about? Baseball. Okay.
Always baseball.
Always baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, I sang in San Diego.
Okay.
I sang at Mets at Shea Stadium.
Raj was
Yeah.
very pleased.
That was kind
about
of funny because
Did you see it?
No,
Okay.
I didn't.
because I don't know, like Raj was sort of like determined I should sing the national anthem. And so he kind of reached out and like found, and they were just like, well, we're kind of all booked for the next like 3 years, but just send a recording of her.
We just got word Crystal Gale dropped out.
Crystal Gale. I was like,
There you go.
And listen to Angela Powell's episode where she tells some great national about exactly what you're talking about. Where
because her sister would sing opera, and then I guess she did too.
Angel's an opera singer.
Yes.
Where her husband had been involved in, was like, my wife, and so they made her basically show up at like what was a talent competition in a bar to audition to sing. And so then Angel stands up and just like blows the wall, and the people are like, okay. It's very funny.
I love it. Listen, we're trying to make it in this world. We are out there trying to make it. And so he finds out where I'm supposed to send, and I just record it because I have, I do voiceover stuff. So I have like a cute little recording thing. So I just sing it. I sing the national anthem. Because of Tim Barker. Because he like hooked me up with his agent. Or no, I don't know. I guess I called you and was like, have you heard of this agent?
Yeah.
And he said, they're great.
Yeah.
Go with them. And I was like, I'm going to need $40. And they said, okay.
Will you take a check?
Yes. And so I sing it and we send it in and they're like, how about tomorrow? Like, why don't you come tomorrow and sing the national anthem? And so we were there. I have pictures of my daughter, standing on the field.
Now I just have a picture of your husband trying to book you out so he can go see baseball games.
I know.
That's basically what happened. 100%.
Yeah.
Like he's,
We get a couple tickets with that. We don't need the 40. We just need a
No,
couple
in
tickets.
fact, we don't even need one for the singer. Like she can just take the subway home. Yeah.
What do you do after that? Do you have seats? Do you then go to seats, or do they?
When I did
does
it
that
at
work?
the Mets, I feel like we then went to like
For a suite?
like a lobby, like a suite, but I felt
Okay.
like we were watching it on the TV.
Yeah,
Right.
But
some
like
of those
we
suites
had
are like
snacks,
that.
and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm good with this. I can eat some snacks.
Do you have any kind of specific routine for your voice? Do you do anything?
I should. Well, like I knew I was gonna sing last night, so
Right.
I didn't.
Like preparation?
She
Yeah.
smoked
Like,
a pack of
I
cigarettes.
smoked.
Got
I
some
like
whiskey.
had some beers, and then I
Yeah.
was like, "Let's do this."
right.
No, I just
This
was
is for
like,
the folks at home. Like,
Yeah,
really,
no, I don't.
like-
I don't talk. I just if I know I'm going to sing, I do not talk before noon.
Okay.
I take a very warm shower and like warm up my voice, and I'm just really I sleep elevated, so I don't have like acid reflux because that
Okay.
can like give you some skadoinks in your
Yeah.
voice.
Wow.
And so just that I drink herbal tea and all those.
And do you have a vocal coach? Do you ever work with anybody or anything?
I
like
have,
that?
but
Okay.
I'm like in a different place in my life. I don't know. I'm doing what I do.
You'd asked earlier, we told you a bit about how we got the idea, but you mentioned the Cincinnati thing and what everybody went on to do. That was what really kind of the overarching idea of this was people with a Cincinnati connection, both who we went to start with, people we went to school with or whatever, just kind of these amazing journeys and these stories about these people who at some point in their life, this city impacted them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people like I just remember as a young kid, I was like, couldn't wait to get out of Cincinnati.
Right.
I was like, I just want to go make my mark, and I want to be my parents were like, well, I auditioned for CCM, and I didn't even want to audition for CCM because I didn't want to I just wanted my own life and to be
You wanted to
away.
fly.
I wanted to fly.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm like, how do I get back here? Like, what do I have to do to be back in Cincinnati? And the plan for so long was, once Ella went off to school, was to move to Cincinnati.
To send her to the University of Cincinnati.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I was
Follow
like,
her.
you're going to go there.
What year is she at Cornell again?
She's a freshman.
Okay.
And then she got accepted to Cornell, which is, 4 hours away from my house.
And such a terrible school with a horrible
I
reputation.
know. They're
Awful.
like,
Really,
all the
awful.
dummies go
Slumming
there.
it, yeah.
They just
the-
let anyone in.
anyone.
It's
anyone.
Cornell Community College, right?
Yes.
That's the-
Yes. Yes.
CC.
Yes.
CCC.
CC. And then my husband, his brother had unexpectedly passed away.
Oh, sorry.
And he was an avid guitar player. And so when my husband was like cleaning out all of his stuff, he had all of these guitars, and then COVID happened, and he was just like, well, I need to honor my brother and learn how to play the guitar. And then he got such passion out of it. Like
he's a musician.
He's a musician.
Very talented drummer.
I met him as a drummer. We were doing concerts together, and then I was like, he's cute and straight. He's mine.
And he can keep a beat.
He can keep a beat and play the drums. And so he just like, and now he's like in a band, and he's so passionate about it. And I just was like, oh my gosh, like, we're supposed to move to Cincinnati. I was so bitter and angry. Like, I was like, I don't want him to like leave. And now he was like, well, I'll still move, like kind of begrudgingly, but because now he had this like whole new passion.
Sure.
And now I'm begrudged about it because now my daughter is like 4 hours away, but I don't want to live in Yonkers or Westchester anymore. So we ended up buying a lake house like at in West Milford, New Jersey. So, so we're in the process of moving right now. So when I saw your son like with all his boxes, I was like, I was triggered. Yeah.
Now, Roger does know that one may argue one of the greatest guitar players lived in Cincinnati, Peter Frampton.
Ooh.
Did he know that?
I don't have to ask him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No.
He lived for years in Indian Hill. Only recently moved. Yeah, he lived. They moved. I think he married a woman from Cincinnati and moved here almost kind
recently
of
inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there you go. So you can tell him that it's not going to derail his career,
right?
No,
not
and
at
I don't
all.
even know that it's about his career. It's just about his band, and he's like playing with his best friend, and they're in this band called Big Ian.
But who's the lead singer of this band, Tim? I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, I think that. Have you auditioned? Have you put your demo tape? You could slip your demo tape.
You slip me $40, I'll get you an audition.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm going to need $40, and they're like, we can't afford you. I ended up at Kennebunkport when I was doing Always Patsy Cline with Sally Struthers.
Okay.
And
with the Bushes?
The Bushes came to see the shows.
Wow.
Like, I've never told this story on air before. So
Okay.
you can edit it out if you want. And they were lovely. Like, they come backstage at intermission.
George and Barbara.
And Jenna. And, Jenna. And they come back. Barbara and Laura. So
Okay.
they're all back, and we get our picture taken with them, and they're so lovely and gracious. And then a little while later, a few days later, Sally and I get an invite to go to Kennebunkport between the hours of 5 p.m. to 5:30. This is where they live in their house, their gorgeous house overlooking. And we're just like, and it's just the two of us. And I'm just like amazed at like, you can invite someone to come to your house from 5 to 5:30.
For a half
like,
hour.
why am I just now hearing about this? And so we go there.
I have a tight 30 I could do for any guest, and then they could leave, and I'd be done.
Exactly. I can handle anyone for 30 minutes. And I feel like people can handle me for 30 minutes. But past that, it's too much.
And the Bushes knew that clearly from meeting you backstage.
They were like,
we would normally do 45, but we're going to.
She's a 30-minute girl. Yeah, 30 minutes.
So did you go?
Did you go?
So we go, and Sally Struthers is in this Cars for Stars car. Like, it just says Cars for Stars, and it's like emblazoned on the car, and so like everybody just knows it's her because this is Cars for Stars.
She's
not always the most subtle either. So she's
Wait a minute,
like,
this is her car, or they sent this for her to pick her up?
They give it to the guest artist.
They give it to the guest artist, and she got a Cars for Stars.
Yeah.
So we go there. So we roll up in our Cars for Stars, and their beautiful compound. And I'm pretty sure, I'm like, we're gonna get frisked. Like, they're gonna
Secret Service.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
nothing. Like I'm like, is this the door? And they're like, yeah, just going in. And I like knock, and like Laura Bush opens the door, and there's like dogs, and then there's Barbara, and then there's George Bush Sr., and I'm just
crazy.
like, hi, like we're the 5 p.m. people.
We
so
have 30 minutes. I have
That's
some
right, and I
candles
was
to
just-
show you, and I've got a number to do.
And they were like so down to earth, so gracious. So George Bush Sr. Is just like, come sit down. And, he's just like, what do you want to drink? And I'm like, oh, I guess we're having cocktails,
He's like, okay, Johnny Bench.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm already seeing Johnny.
I was like, do you need change back? And so he, they're like manservant makes us a margarita, and so we're sitting there, and he's telling me all about Kenny Bunkport and like how how they got this place and this whole thing, and they're so wonderful, and then he's like, oh, Carter, and how much they love the show. It was just like so wonderful, and then. He's like, and then, there's Laura Bush, and she's like, I hope you don't mind. I hope this doesn't feel like a dumb question. And I'm like, there's no dumb questions in my book. And she goes, were you lip syncing? And I was like, I think maybe we found one.
Right.
And I was like, no, I was not lip syncing. But I was like, well, that's nice.
But actually,
Wow.
that's kind of a compliment. I
Yes,
think,
it was
right?
100% a
That
compliment.
was a compliment.
She was like, because you sound like,
sounds like a recording.
It sounds like a recording.
Yeah.
So anyway, then he's like, oh, she goes, hi. Barbara goes, hey, baby boy. And I turn around and it's W. And I'm saying to myself,
Really?
you're going to be charmed by him.
You just knew
Prepare
it.
yourself.
Right.
You're going to be charmed.
You don't want to like him, and you're going to.
I'm going to love him, is what I say.
Yeah.
And I go, hello, Mr. President. I'm Carter Calvert. And he goes, oh, hey, Carter Calvert, who everybody's talking about, but nobody knows. And I was like,
Ooh.
okay.
All right.
Ooh.
Well, there goes the charm.
Was he trying to be funny?
I think so, but it was like a yeah. And so anyway,
Leave the comedy to the professionals.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, so he's sitting over here. You can't see at home, but I'm pointing, and and then Barbara goes, I hate to do an order of business, and I'll just make up the scenario, but it was like, did Anne Catherine, did we find out how her test results were? And W goes, it's non-benign. And everyone's like, and he goes, it's non-benign.
Strategery.
Yeah. And everyone's like,
Total bush.
all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know if I know what benign means, because everyone has a horrified look, but he's like, he keeps repeating it.
Yeah.
He meant not.
He is.
What did he mean?
I don't
He
know.
meant
Benign.
malignant? He
Yeah.
meant it's benign.
And
That's
I
right.
just thought to
he-
myself, okay,
non-malignant
I'm
and
not
benign.
gonna give him my
Conflated
case of
those.
emergency number,
Right.
Yeah.
to the
Wow.
and then Sally and I walk slowly back to the Cars for Stars, and we get in, and I go, what just happened?
I have a question about all of these now, singing shows like The Voice and America's Got Talent, or all of those type of shows. You like them? You think it's a good idea? Do you think it opens up?
I've got zero-ish with any of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen,
The Voice. That was
cream
the
will
other one, The
rise
Voice.
to the top. I
Yeah.
think Kelly Clarkson is unbelievable. She's a ferocious beast, and
Yeah.
she was the original winner of American Idol, and I
Yeah.
loved watching those shows. I love Fantasia Barrino. And my friend, who because she performed
your
at my
50th.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Well, why do we have to say
At
that
your
now?
25th.
At
I
my
said your 25th birthday
That
party.
was last week.
Squared.
Squared to the second power. No, I don't even care. She performed at my 50th, and she's going to be on The Voice.
Wow.
Yeah, which I'm. Yeah.
I will
that's
have
really,
to watch
but that's
that.
really
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool that you say that.
Yeah.
About those shows, the cream will
Yeah.
rise to the
Oh
top.
yeah. I just feel like I'm listen. We're just.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have that you watch or?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't really watch them,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because I'm a news junkie to my own detriment. But
I suggest just checking into reality television musical competitions for a little while.
I will.
For a mental
Do
health
you?
break.
Exactly.
No, I'm just
follow?
saying about from a mental health.
Oh,
early
100%.
days though, I have to say, early days I did. I mean, we don't anymore,
Oh,
but
yeah,
early
we
days
did.
I did
We
watch some of
did.
those. I thought they were fun.
Oh,
I mean,
they were so fun. And it was just and I think you kind of see yourself in them ooh, what would I have done?
Right.
Or what, so I think it's so fun.
It
Yeah.
reminds me. I mean, I guess even taken from those early Apollo they do the shows
Yeah,
on
amateur night.
Where people just,
Yeah.
they just get a chance. You just get a shot. And obviously, it's a much bigger stage. And I realize a
Right.
lot of it's, but regardless, hey, it's just another avenue for somebody to get seen.
And to like
Take a shot. Just take a shot.
100%. I'm all in on it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's beautiful. Like, on my Instagram's filled with like this amazing person on The Voice, or I love it. And like I said, Kelly Clarkson can do no wrong. Like, she can sing anything.
It's kind of funny. She would remind me of you. I mean, all the way up and down the line from a talent perspective, but also from a just a kind of that determination.
I love that
Do you know what I
song.
mean? You have
She's
been
fabulous.
from the first time I saw you in the 6th grade, right? Focused and determined, and worked your ass off to get to where you are.
Thank you.
Right? I mean, and it's and I've checked in here before this podcast, but talent, check. But that's not enough. It's that determination and that drive and that not give up that got you here. And I hope you find a way in whatever form it takes to kind of continue doing that. Watching you perform last night was amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Hey,
you. It was so
you
fun.
can.
It was such a magical evening. It was really, I just wanted to be good for the school and for your table.
that's a big
especially.
old check.
Oh, thank you.
Table
I tell
23.
you what,
Yes,
we did
I
have
know.
the coolest table
You
in the
did.
joint.
Oh, it was
Honestly,
so fun.
People
The
were
best
people were
dressed.
talking about our table.
The people are still, I think there's going to be a whole podcast just your
about our
table.
It's going to be
Table.
called Table
Yeah,
23.
Table 23.
Exactly. I
And
would
now let's check
tune
in.
Let's see, where's everyone now? Yeah,
Any
no
cabaret? Any cabaret stuff that you're working on that you're going to be doing?
I'm gonna
soon?
I do a tribute to Patsy Cline show. So that's coming up in May. I'm there.
Can you guide people to where they might find you or find out where dates are? Do you put it up on your website?
I do it
or
on
Instagram
more.
or-
I do more social media.
Yeah, what's your IG?
It's Carter Calvert at
Okay.
Carter Calvert, and I'm on Facebook too. And that I tend to. That's where I do most of my promoting. And I'm in conjunction with the Penguin Rep Theater, which is in Stony Point. It's upstate New York. I'm currently working on a show with another Broadway performer, Rita Harvey.
Nice.
And we're just putting something together. So I'm not quite sure what it's going to grow up to be, but we're in early steps.
Developmental.
Yeah, early
Did you
development.
ever go on to do any more cruise ship stuff? Because
I did.
Okay. I was going to
did.
say you'd be perfect
I
as a
did.
headliner
I
during
did.
show. Yeah.
Crystal Cruise. I've
Okay.
done a bunch of shows on Crystal Cruise, my own show, and that was
That's
Oh,
what
dig
I
it,
was-
dig
that
it,
was
yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, that was great.
And then, so now we know we can, folks can hear your music on what streaming
On
platforms?
Apple, iTunes,
Right.
Spotify,
Right.
Amazon. It's on
Yeah,
all
but
of that.
remember, this show is all about connections. But I remember making that connection, and I told you about it. I think I've told you about it, Rex. But Tim, you may not have heard this. I was working. I just started, TCP, and I was sitting at my desk. I was still in my home, and
Oh, yeah, you did tell me that.
oh yeah, so sitting there listening to Pandora, and I've always been a big fan of Ella, Lena Horne, stuff like that. So I was listening to a bunch of female jazz vocalists, and working on something or other, and something's playing, and it just kind of catches my eye. And I remember thinking, "Damn, this is swinging." I'm going, "Who is this? This sounds strangely familiar." And swiped to go back to that screen, and damned if it wasn't Carter Calvert.
That's
Thank you so
It-
much. That means a lot to me.
It was amazing, and
I'm pretty sure you called me actually
Yeah.
at home and told me that at the
Yeah.
time. I mean, I just remember. Yeah.
Well, that means a lot to me.
It was, and that's when I reached out and found you. But it was just absolutely amazing. So
Thank you.
I love your talent. I love your work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy
Well, I
that
love
you
your
came to town
podcast,
and
and I love
came
you
back to see
guys.
us.
We love you.
Listen, I know somewhere in my teenage dream, I was like, "Dear Lord, please let the 3 most popular boys want to talk to me." And I didn't know I'd have to wait
She
40
manifested
years.
the actual
I
podcast,
did.
which didn't
Back
exist.
then.
That's
40
phenomenal.
years ago.
That's right.
Oh,
40
my
years ago,
goodness.
I was like, "Dear Lord, I don't know when
She
it's
gets-
going to happen,
she
but
gets
someday."
Residuals on inventing the podcast.
I do.
And writing memory.
And
So,
I wrote
mean,
Memory
it's-
from Cats.
Yeah.
I wrote that.
She gets those $40 checks.
I do. I get those $40 checks.
That's what they keep telling you. Here's another $40 for that song you wrote.
I'm like, oh, perfect. That's my number. That's my magic number, right?
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming in
Thank you
and
for
sitting
having
with us.
me.
and-
This has just been the dreamiest way to spend a day. Thank you.
The NattyCast is proudly brought to you by Paco Lago Productions. The show is hosted by Tim Barker, Rex Stull, and Ron Thomas. Produced and edited by Matthew Lake and associate produced by Ethan Spanja. Special thanks to Sadie Kern at Pop Gun Flow for the graphics and to Brando Triantafilu for the original theme song. Feel free to follow us at _NattyCast on Instagram or head to our website, thenattycast.com. You can get this show wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.